Last week, I laughed so hard. I snorted oat milk latte out of my nose. I know, not super glamorous, right? I was having brunch with one of my girlfriends and we were laughing so hard that the people at the next table were kind of looking at us like we needed medical attention. The last few weeks at work have been really busy. So that moment very much felt like someone had just hit the reset button on my entire nervous system. And that's when it hit me. Wait, I haven't laughed like this in weeks, like a proper belly laugh, the snorting kind of laugh, the kind where you can't breathe and your abs hurt a little bit afterwards, which is wild. I consider myself to be a fairly sunny person, but like a lot of high functioning humans, sometimes, somehow, I forget about joy. And we treat moments like this as accidents, right? Like joy is this random thing that maybe shows up if we're lucky, if we've been good enough, if we've checked enough boxes off our to-do list. But what if I told you that this mindset is completely backwards? What if joy isn't the prize you get after you've done all the hard stuff? What if it's actually the fuel that makes the hard stuff possible in the first place? And I'm not talking toxic positivity here. We're not pretending everything is fine when it's clearly not. And also, I get it. With everything happening in the world right now, choosing joy can almost feel guilty. Like, how can I laugh at brunch when there's so much suffering out there? But here's the thing, and this is crucial. Running yourself into the ground doesn't help anyone. When you're depleted, stressed, joyless, you have less to give. Less energy for your work, your relationships, your community, less capacity to actually make a difference where it matters. So today I'm talking about something way more practical. Joy as a design choice. Joy as a strategy. Joy as the thing that literally changes how your brain works and makes you more capable of showing up for everything else. We're not talking about fluffy stuff or raising vibrations here. We're talking about neuroscience. Because here's what the research shows, and this blew my mind when I first learned this. Positive emotions don't just make you feel good. They actually expand your cognitive abilities. They make you more creative, more resilient, better at problem solving. So today we're diving deep into the science of joy. The research that shows joy is literally fuel for your brain and your life. In this episode, we're exploring why your high-achieving brain dismisses joy as frivolous and why that's actually working against you. So first, I'll break down the neuroscience behind why micro moments of joy reset your nervous system and boost your cognitive performance. Then I'll give you 3 specific strategies to design more joy into your everyday life. You're gonna understand exactly why waiting to feel joy until after you earned it is totally backwards. And by the end of this, you'll have a practical framework to start inviting more aliveness into your regular days, starting tomorrow. This isn't about being happier. It's about being smarter, joyfully. Ready? Let's go. Hey, I'm Noemi, former queen of bad habits and corporate go-getter turned well-being coach and personal growth junkie. And in a world full of overwhelming wellness advice, we're here to cut through the noise. This is your space to master healthy habits, transform your mindset, own your well-being, and design a life you love on your terms. We're ditching the highlight reels and embracing the whole messy, imperfect journey towards becoming our absolute best selves. You're the author of your own story. So are you ready to write the next chapter? Let's go, and welcome to Unwritten Potential. Hello, I'm Noemi, and this is Ambition Potential. I am so grateful that you're here. And let's dive into the science behind why joy isn't just a nice to have, it's actually essential brain fuel. So, Barbara Fredrickson, she's this researcher at the University of North Carolina. She's done some absolutely wild work on positive emotions, and her Broaden-and-Build theory basically shows that when you experience positive emotions like joy, your brain literally expands its capacity. Okay, so here's what's happening in your brain when you feel joy. Your prefrontal cortex, so that's your thinking brain, gets more resources. Your visual field actually widens. Like you can literally see more options, more possibilities when you're in this positive emotional state. And this is so different from stress and anxiety, right? When you're stressed, your brain narrows. It goes into tunnel vision mode, fight or flight. Everything becomes about the immediate threat. But joy does the opposite. It opens up your cognitive range. I'm not even kidding. There are studies showing that people in positive emotional states perform better on creative tasks, solve problems faster, and come up with more innovative solutions. It's not woo woo, it's neuroscience. Here's where it gets really interesting for people like you, the high achievers. We've been taught that joy is the reward. Work hard, push through, sacrifice now, and maybe you'll get to feel good later, right? Actually, this is mental when you think about it because we're literally depriving ourselves of the thing that would make us better at the work we're trying to do. It's like refusing to eat protein because you haven't earned it yet while trying to build muscles. You know that thing when you're stuck on a problem, maybe at work or personal, and you're beating your head against it for hours, and then you take a break, you go for a walk, maybe you have a chat with a friend, and suddenly the solution is obvious. That's not coincidence. That's your broadened cognitive state showing you possibilities that your stressed, narrow brain literally couldn't see. Okay, so that's the cognitive piece, but there's also this whole nervous system thing going on. Ingrid Fettel Lee, she's a designer who wrote this incredible book called Joyful. She talks about how joy isn't just an emotion, it's a physical response to certain environmental cues. So get this, there are specific visual patterns and sensory experiences that trigger joy responses in humans. Burst of colors, symmetry. Oh, I love that one. Movement, nature, playful shapes. It's literally hardwired into us. We're designed to respond to these things with positive emotions. This means joy isn't this mystical thing that we have to passively wait for. It's predictable and you can literally design it into your environment. Your brain sees certain patterns and goes, oh, it's joy time. And you've probably noticed this, how you feel different in a beautifully designed space versus a stark office space with loads of walls and that overhead fluorescent light. That's your nervous system responding to environmental cues. The beautiful space, it's sending your brain joy signals. The stark office, that's sending stress signals. And here's what's wild. These environmental joy cues actually regulate your nervous system. They help shift you from stress mode to rest and restore mode. So when you choose to wear that super colorful t-shirt that makes you smile, or you put fresh flowers or a new plant on your desk, or you take the scenic route on your commute, you're not being frivolous. You're literally giving your nervous system a little reset. And this is why the earn your joy kind of mentality is so backwards. Joy doesn't come after you've handled all the stress. Joy is what gives you the cognitive and nervous system resources to handle stress effectively in the first place. And you know how some people seem to just bounce back from setbacks way faster than others? Or they're more creative under pressure. A lot of that comes down to their relationship with positive emotion. They're not avoiding the hard stuff, they're just maintaining access to the emotional states that make them more resilient and more resourceful. And actually, this research from BJ Fogg at Stanford, I talked about BJ Fogg in my episode on tiny habits. You should check it out. BJ Fogg shows that positive emotion is one of the most powerful habit forming tool we have. If something feels good, you're way more likely to repeat it. Obvious, right? So if you want your healthy habits to stick, if you want your productivity systems to work, you need to find ways to make them feel more joyful. This isn't about pretending everything is fine, everything's perfect when it's not. This isn't toxic positivity. This is about understanding that your emotional state directly impacts your cognitive abilities, your decision making, your resilience, and your motivation. So, what does this actually mean for you? It means that dismissing joy as frivolous is literally making you less effective at everything you're trying to do. It means that waiting to feel good until after you've accomplished everything is like trying to drive for 10 hours on an empty tank. Your brain needs positive emotional fuel to function at its best. And the good news, you don't need a full life overhaul to get it. All right, so now that we know joy is literally brain fuel, here's what you can actually do about it. And I'd like to share 3 strategies that you can start using today or tomorrow, not someday, today or tomorrow. And the first strategy, start noticing joy cues in your environment. Okay, so remember how joy is a physical response to certain stimuli. This means you can hack it. You can literally design more joy into your regular day by paying attention to what your nervous system responds to. Think about the last time you felt a spontaneous moment of aliveness, not achievement, not accomplishment, aliveness. What were you seeing? What were you hearing? What were you experiencing physically? So for me, it's usually colors, bright flowers, interesting textures, plants, natural lights. Sometimes it's music that makes me want to move or that makes me vibe. The smell of coffee. And these aren't random preferences. These are my nervous system's joy cues. So I've designed my home and my home office very much with a lot of colors, with a lot of textures, a lot of light, a lot of plants. So pick one thing that consistently sparks a little joy for you and build it into your environment. Put a plant on your desk, change your phone wallpaper or your desktop wallpaper to something that makes you smile when you see it. Add some shapes, some colors to your spaces. I know this sounds super simple, but simple doesn't mean ineffective. And I know it may sound silly, but it's not silly, it's strategic. You're giving your nervous system positive input throughout the day, which means you have more emotional resources for everything else. Here's another one. When you go and grab your sandwich at lunchtime, don't go the fastest way. Pick the scenic way, maybe with trees and interesting buildings or architecture or a good people watching spot. Anything that makes your brain go, oh, this is pretty, or oh, this is cool. Those extra few minutes aren't a waste of time. It's an investment in your cognitive capacity for the rest of your day. Moving on to strategy number 2, schedule micro moments of joy daily. And this one's a game changer. We're so good at scheduling our obligations, right? Meetings, deadlines, doctor's appointments. And that's great. As I said, if it's not in the diary, it's not happening. But we often leave joy up to chance. But what if you scheduled it like anything else that is important in your life? And it doesn't have to be massive. I'm talking about micro moments, 2 to 5 minutes of something that makes you feel more like yourself. And the research shows that these tiny positive moments can compound over time into significant improvements in well-being, improvements in energy, improvements in resilience. So what does this look like practically? Well, maybe it's a 3-minute dance break between your Zoom calls. Maybe it's sending your friend a meme or a voice note about something ridiculous that happened. Maybe it's turning your morning coffee into this lovely little ritual. I do all 3, by the way. I started doing this thing where I have this Spotify playlist called In Case of Emergency, Break This. And every time I'm feeling a bit blah, I put on my headphones or turn on the speakers and I just listen to it. And it's a full-blown playlist, but usually by the middle of the first song, I just totally feel my energy shifting. It kind of resets everything. And the key here is making it as easy as possible. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until you have time. Build it into transitions you're already making. Before you open your laptop in the morning or between work calls while you're waiting for dinner to cook. Actually, this is where habit stacking is super useful. Take something you already do every day, like making coffee or checking your emails, and add a tiny joy moment to it. After I pour my morning coffee, I spend 5 minutes on my balcony looking at the trees and listening to the bird chirping. Actually, the birds are chirping now. I hope you can't hear them. That's it. A few minutes or even 30 seconds of intentional aliveness. And here's what's wild. Once you start doing this consistently, your brain starts looking for these moments on its own. It's like training your attention to notice opportunities for positive emotion instead of just scanning for problems and threats all day. Okay, strategy number 3, and this one's crucial. Reclaim joy as productive. This is where we need to flip the script completely. High achievers have this deep programming that joy equals laziness, that if you're enjoying yourself, you must not be working hard enough. But based on everything we just talked about, this is literally counterproductive. When you experience positive emotion, you're more creative, more resilient, better at problem solving, and more likely to stick to your healthy habits. So joy isn't the opposite of productivity. It's what makes productivity sustainable. Here's how to start shifting this. When you feel stuck or depleted, instead of pushing harder, ask yourself, what would feel fun right now? Not what should I do, but what would feel fun? I know this sounds radical if you're used to grinding through everything, but stick with me. Your brain is telling you it needs a different kind of input. It's asking for the emotional fuel that will actually help you perform better. So maybe that's stepping outside for a few minutes. Maybe it's listening to a song that makes you want to dance. Maybe it's texting someone who makes you laugh. These aren't procrastination. These are nervous system resets that will actually make you more effective when you return to your work. Here's another way to think about it. Replace guilt with curiosity. Instead of, I should be working harder, try, what's one thing that would make me feel more like myself right now? Instead of, I don't have time for this right now, try, what's the smallest thing that would give me energy instead of draining it? The goal isn't to be happy all the time. That's not realistic. And also, it's not the point. The goal is to have reliable access to the emotional states that make you more resourceful, more resilient, and more creative. Joy isn't frivolous, my friends. It's fuel. All right, let's bring this home. Here's what we covered today, and most importantly, what you can actually do about it. First, we talked about the science. And remember, joy isn't just a nice feeling, it's brain fuel. When you experience positive emotion, your prefrontal cortex gets more resources, your cognitive range expands, and your nervous system shifts into rest and restore mode. We also learned that joy is predictable. It's a physical response to certain environmental cues like color, nature, movement, playfulness, which means you don't have to wait for it to happen accidentally. You can design it into your life on purpose. Then we covered 3 practical strategies. Strategy number 1, notice your joy cues and build them into environment. Wear the colorful t-shirts, buy the plants or the fresh flowers, go the scenic route. These aren't luxuries. They're nervous system resets. Strategy number 2, schedule micro moments of joy daily, 2 to 5 minutes of something that makes you feel more like yourself. These small moments compound into real resilience over time. And strategy number 3, the big mindset shift, reclaim joy as productive. When you're stuck, you're feeling depleted, instead of pushing harder, ask, What would feel fun right now? Joy isn't the opposite of productivity. It's what makes productivity sustainable. So this week, I would love to invite you to pick one joy cue, something that consistently sparks aliveness for you, and build it into tomorrow. Not next week, not when things calm down, tomorrow. The thing you can literally do starting tomorrow is notice when you're dismissing joy as frivolous. Ask yourself, what if this is actual fuel? What if that moment of laughter and beauty and silliness and playfulness isn't taking you away from your goals, but actually giving you the resources to achieve them more effectively? Because here's the truth, you're not going to think your way into feeling better, but you can absolutely feel your way into thinking better. Joy isn't self indulgent. It's not a reward for when everything else is done, and you shouldn't feel guilty about it. It's the starting point for a life that actually feels good while you're living it. Joy is a design choice, and honestly, it's one of the smartest ones you can make, my friends. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, message me in the comments or you can drop me a line at noemi@unwritten.coach. I started receiving emails the last couple of weeks and I absolutely love hearing what resonates and also how can I make this more useful for you? How can I make this better? So thank you so much. If you feel that someone might need a bit of joy in their life, feel free to share it and I will see you next week. Go have some joy. Bye.